Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another exciting design tutorial on UXMate. In the second tutorial on auto layout, we will be diving deep in auto layout, advanced settings and alignment. Well, before you get started with this, make sure you have watched my previous video on auto layout because it contains how to get started with auto layout and create complex and responsive layouts. Well, last but not least, watch this video till end to understand the concepts which I'll be explaining in this video, because those concepts you can apply in various designs which you would be creating in various scenarios. You might various scenarios you might face in your design challenges, so that would be a helpful thing. So be sure to watch this till end and make sure you have watched the previous video as well. Also, don't miss to smash that red subscribe button and hit like, so it gives us motivation to create awesome videos on design tips, tricks and techniques. So yep, let's not waste much time and get started with the tutorial. Well, you would be seeing thing to remember today is Command P. What it does is it opens a search panel in the Figma where you can search for any tools or any plugins which easily any settings, any menus. You can search anything in the Figma using this. So it also helps to speed up the workflow. You don't always need to do the things you like right click and go in the context menu, or go here and there. You can simply use Command P and start typing whatever you are looking for. Also, one more thing, let's say if you have multiple files open in your address bar, probably you would be navigating through them using your mouse click, but there is a quicker way. You can use Control Tab to go further in the stack. You can use Control Shift Tab to go backwards in the stack. So you can simply switch between files easily, like real quick, without even going and clicking on those individual files. As always, I have a basic setup ready for you. So what I have did is nothing fancy. We have three frames, like three rectangular frames with some stroke to it and numbers in it. The reason of numbering is it will help you to understand the order of the objects in the layout and how advanced settings are going to affect with those orders and all. So let me create a copy of these. So there is this again a quick insight on making a duplicate of any objects in the Figma. Like you can do the traditional ways, like right click on it, do copy and paste, or you can simply say Command C for copy and Control V, like Command V for paste, and then you can move wherever you want. Another way is you can select any object and hit Command D or Control D for duplicating the selection. It will duplicate the selection. The quickest way I personally find helpful is hold down Option key or Alt key and simply click and drag any of the object, so it creates a copy of it. If you want to be precise on your movements, like while creating a duplicate, you can simply hold down Shift as well along with Option. So let's say I want to create a copy next to it without having something deviated like this. So what I can do is I can simply hold Alt, I can hold Shift, and now when I no matter where I'm moving, like it would be make the copy in a straight line. Okay, so let me just create an auto layout of those two selected objects. It has automatically created a layout for me. Let me drop the third one in it. So now let's say I want to move third object in place of second or in place of first. How you can do it? So the traditional way is you would be simply clicking and dragging it here and there, but what you can do is you can select any of the object and you can simply use your mouse keys, like sorry, not mouse keys, but your arrow keys on the keyboard. With that you can simply move them on the directions whichever you want. So if your auto layout is in the vertical direction, you can simply use your mouse keys, like left and right arrow keys. Sorry, I'm saying mouse keys, but yeah, your left and right arrow keys to change the order or change the position of the element within the auto layout. If your layout is in the vertical direction, you can again do it same with the up and down arrow keys. So based upon your direction, you can use your arrow keys to swap the orders. Also, if you want to, let's say, swap the order between 1 and 3, what you can do is you can, not within the auto layouts, but yes, it is again useful in the other scenarios as well. Let's say you have two objects, or let me just grab all of them. So let's say you have these three objects and now you want to swap the position. You are not in auto layout and now you want to swap the position of 1 and 3. So what you can do, you can simply select both of them, and if you zoom in a little bit, you will be finding a circle or a dot in your selected object. I'm not sure if it is visible to you, but yeah, what you can do is you can simply click and hold and then move your object. It will automatically swap the position. So you can do it in whichever direction you want. Also, you'd be seeing a vertical line in between, which you can use to adjust the spacing between selected objects. So you'd be seeing, okay, why my 2 is not affected, because this is not selected. We have selected first and third tile only. Okay, let me go back to the auto layout. This file has some unsaved changes, no worries. Sometimes Figma finds difficulty to connect to the network. In that case, Figma tries to just notifies you, okay, it has some unsaved changes, but it will maintain your unsaved changes on your local computer itself. So no worries on it. Yeah. So what we have created so far, we have created an layout and we have seen how you can do position swap of the objects quickly without using your mouse. So you can simply select something and you can simply swap your objects in the frame. Now let's say next thing we would be seeing about the alignment option. So let me again make a copy of this here, and now if you see, my object is aligned perfectly in the center. No matter if I scale down or scale up this frame, my object is perfectly aligned in the center, because if you see my auto layout settings, it is aligned in the center. So let me do it on the left. It will automatically swap my object on the left hand side. If I do it on the right, it will swap my objects on the right hand side. If I do it, it won't be much visible in this frame because we don't have much height here, but yeah, let me do it this way. So now you would be able to realize it will change the alignment of your objects in the auto layout with this alignment box. So you would be noticing how this is going to be helpful for me. So let's say we want to create very high level prototype. Let's say you have some sort of cards or some sort of elements in the stack. Okay, and now let me just do it. Let me create one more rectangle here for you. I have these two buttons, let's say. Now in that case, what if I move these two objects in my auto layout, it will stack them on the left hand side. So in that case, I want those buttons on my right hand side. So what I can do is I can select both of them and then I can group them together, or I can frame them together and then add an auto layout in it. Now I can change the direction of it, so it will have those two buttons stacked next to each other. But now if you will be seeing, it is still on the left hand side, it is not on the right hand side. Now if I change the alignment of my auto layout, parent auto layout, it will swap the position. Okay, but let's say there are certain cases where my objects in the frame are not aligned perfectly with each other, and now if I try to do this layout, it is not going to be the perfect in our use case. So we want all of the top cards aligned on the left, but the buttons aligned on the right hand side. So what we can do in this case, we can simply select this, and if you remember, we had did a fill container thing. So instead of hug, you can change the width of this frame, this container, and you can say fill container. So it will fill in the entire width available within this your parent frame, and now you can change the alignment of this inner auto layout to wherever you want. So let's say I want them on the top right corner, or middle right corner. So in that case you can achieve this layout very quickly using auto layout. And let's say you want to change the spacing between these two like these objects, you can simply do it. Okay, let me give you one more trick in auto layout. Let's just get rid of this and let's focus here. Let's say you have these three equally distributed objects. Okay, and let's just do it 20 pixels for now, and my parent frame is somewhat, let me add some spacing on both sides, 20 20, and let me add a color as well, so it will give you an idea okay how it is looking. Just a subtle color, yeah. So let's say this is what my setup is, and I want 1 on the leftmost side, 2 and 3 on the right side. What we can do is in this auto layout, if you try to change the alignment, it will not shuffle them as I want. So what you can do is you can cheat here. So you can draw a rectangle within your auto layout. If you see, this is my frame, and I'm drawing a rectangle between these two objects, or these two objects, and then I can change the width of this. So doing this manually again will be kind of not a good approach, because it is not a responsive way. So let's say if change this width of your parent container, it will not align automatically. So what you can do is you can select this newly drawn rectangle and you can change the width of this to fill container. So now whenever you change width of your parent container, it will contain that gap, like it will maintain the consistency of the spacing which we have given, no matter how your layout is. So with this, like with help of this, you can simply create responsive menu items or menu bars. Let's say your left hand side is your brand logo, and your right hand sides have notification bell icon and menu icon. So with this you can easily create such layouts, and you can stretch the parent container however you want. And now you would be noticing, okay, what to do with this white patch. You can simply lower the opacity of this. So you can change the opacity to 0. Again, there is a quick insight on the opacity part. You can use your number keys to change the opacity. Okay, so we have changed the opacity for fill, but yeah, there is this opacity for the pass through as well. So what you can do is you can select any object and you can type in any number. Let's say I type in 20, or not even 20, you just have to type in 2, it will change the opacity to 20. If I type 5, it will change the opacity to 50. If I type 9, it will change the opacity to 90. If I type 95, it will change the opacity to 95. So with this combination, you can change the opacity of any object. If you want to make it 100, you have to type in 0. If you want to make it 0, you have to type 0 twice. So it will lower the opacity to 0. So this is again a quick quick way to change the toggle between opacity and get the desired results very quickly. So with this you can speed up your workflow really fast. So let me just lower the opacity. So now your frame is ready to be put in wherever you want, and you can create these interesting layouts using these techniques. Now let's say you don't want to have those rectangles in it, or like not that specific use case, but let's say I want to create still without the rectangle. You can achieve the same. So what you have to do is you have to select inner elements which you want on the rightmost side, and again frame them, and then add an auto layout. Now for this auto layout, like the inner frame, what we would be doing, we would be doing a fill container, and then we would be aligning them to right hand side. So same result you can achieve with those inner frames as well. If you see, we don't have that rectangle there, but we have two nested frames. It becomes the layout, or your structure a little bit complicated, and to always adjust those things, you have to always go in and adjust the inner frames. That's why I personally prefer to draw a rectangle which gives you more control over the space between multiple objects. So let's say I want a little more space here. That won't be a valid use case because you can adjust the space here itself. But let's say if I have 3 elements here, let me just do it for example. So let's say we have 3 elements here in the inner container, and now if I want to change the spacing between only 2 objects, I can simply put in a rectangle there, and I can move, or like I can change the width of the rectangle to adjust the spacing between these elements. Okay, so let's try to go further deep in the auto layout. Let me again pull in my objects here, and let me do a auto layout. So let's see, when you want to overlap objects on each other, what you can do is you can change the spacing to a negative number. Now you can, with this you can overlap the objects on each other, but let's say I want first element on top and last element on bottom, or not on behind. You can say first element on front and last element behind the other objects. So how you can do it? You can simply go into the advanced settings for auto layout, and then you can see canvas stacking. So now if you see, it says last on top. If we click on this drop down and change it first on top, it will change the order of the stack. So with the help of this, you can make such complicated designs. Let's say if you have 3 cards, which are let's say something like this, a carousel kind of effect you want to achieve. Let me just change the colors, or let me just pick them from here itself. To pick up a color, you can simply select and hit I on the keyboard, and then it opens up the eyedropper tool. You can simply pick up any of the color. Let me frame these and let me add an auto layout in it. Now if you see, I have an auto layout. Now let me adjust the spacing to a minus number, and now I want this card on top. So same thing, you can go in the settings, you can go on the canvas stacking, and you can click on first on top. With the help of this, you can achieve that carousel kind of, or cards kind of effect easily. So let's see, there are further options in the advanced menu. Now we have spacing mode, and it says packed as of now. Okay, let me again sorry, I shouldn't have deleted the other frame, but yeah, let me create it again, no worries, and let me have a fixed width for now. I'll add a probably stroke to understand, like to help you to visualize the outer frame. And now let's say if I do, instead of packed, if I change the spacing mode to space between, what it does, it automatically fits whatever number of elements you have in the frame within the available width. So let me try to duplicate elements in the frame. Let's just select all of them, and let's hit Command D. So it will duplicate those elements. I have used my arrow keys to shuffle the position. So now I have 1 2 3 1 2 3, and no matter like how many numbers of elements I want to add in it, I can keep on adding, but it will adjust the space according to available width you have to your parent container. So if I keep on changing the width of my parent container, it will change the distance automatically. So how, like, it will divide whatever number of elements we have in the layout, and then add the spacing accordingly. So it is not going to change the width and height of your objects or your elements. It will just change the spacing between these. And now if I do again like packed, it will just have a fixed spacing between the elements. Now let's see what are the other options in the setting. So we have these strokes. How it is helpful, let's say I don't have these paddings or spacings, and this is what my layout is. So now if you see, I have this stroke on my frame. Let me do change the stroke to outside instead of inside. Okay, so now if you notice my stroke, like the stroke for outer frame, let me delete these extra items just to reduce the clutter, doesn't matter how many elements you have. Yeah, so if you see my parent frame, it is like it has bounding box till here itself, and my object stroke is outside the bounding box of my frame, or outside the frame you can simply say. So let me go in the advanced setting and then say what it says, strokes is excluded. I want to include the strokes in the frame itself. So when I say include, it will fit in my strokes, like my objects, considering the strokes as well within the frame itself. So if you see, there might be some effects you want to achieve with or without strokes, then in that case, this option is kind of a helpful. So by default it comes excluding the strokes, and then you can change the settings however you want. So what else we have in the advanced setting? Then we have seen this one, align text baseline. Yeah, so it is more for the text if we have text in the auto layout. So what it does is, like, the animation itself shows here. So whatever baseline your font has, it aligns the objects as per your baseline. So let's do it here. We don't have those such elements, but let me delete the number 2 in this, and then it is aligning my objects on the baseline of these two objects, these two texts. Let me change them to some alphabets, because for numbers the baseline, like most of the time, it remains same. But if I do even on the small alphabets, it doesn't change the baseline, but yeah, it changes for some alphabets. So whatever baseline you have in your font, it will align your objects, like the rest of the objects, accordingly. So now if I resize the inner element, you will be noticing it is aligned. Let me draw a line for you, just to give you an idea where the baseline is. So if you see, this is what my baseline is, and other objects are aligned accordingly. Let me create a duplicate copy of the inner rectangle, and let me change the size of these. Doesn't matter like what is the size. So the alignment would be as per this baseline. And again, like, you have options, like, do you want to align it on the left, on the center, or in the middle, or on the right hand side. You can, like, I don't even remember if I have ever used this text balancing, but if you have more work with the texts in the layout, then you can definitely go and explore these settings. These are more on the pixel perfect interface, and most of the cases I do wireframes and low fidelity mockups, so really it doesn't matter to me if my objects are aligned to the text very precisely or not. I guess we have deleted the third object as well. But yeah, anyways, we have almost covered all the advanced settings of auto layout. Still, if you have any other doubts on this, definitely you can reach out to me in the comments. I guess this is again a useful option when you want to change the padding on the individual sides. So I only want to change the padding on the left hand side, let's say, then I can simply add the padding in the object, like on the specific direction itself. So yeah, that's all we have on auto layout. Feel free to add your doubts in the comments. We'll definitely answer them in our upcoming tutorial. Stay tuned, like, share and subscribe.